right, guys, let's get into today's show. We got a lot to get to. We got Leroy coming up in a little bit, but we'll start with some Browns after a quick reminder that FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, NFL fans can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. When you get in a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the exact same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/UCSS. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. During the game on Sunday, Tyvis, we were texting, and you said you felt like the Browns were playing with a loser's mentality. Those were your words. Do you want to explain what you mean by that? And can that be something that gets flipped mid-season? Or is that just an inherent trait of a team once camp breaks?
Well, let's put more context on it, because what I said was what I think I said. I haven't went back and read my exact words, but what I was saying is, to me, it seems like they resorted back to old habits. You know what I'm saying? Like, for so long, the Browns they haven't been successful. You know, Kevin's come in and he has some successful seasons, but overall, it's been losing seasons. And if you've been a part of this franchise or this fan base for a long time, it's just kind of what it is. It's like, oh, well, there it is again. You know, it's another year of losing, blah, blah, blah. And last year was an anomaly because it seemed like no matter what, like, it was like, we going to win this game. Like, I don't care if we down to our fifth string guy. I don't care what they doing. We're going to figure it out. And by all accounts, the one thing we're going to do is we're going to be tough and physical every time. Like, when teams play us, we going to trash talk. We going to hit hard. We going to try to knock players out the game, all of those things. And when I watched them last week, I seen absolutely none of that. None of that at all. I seen a Raiders team that was like, you know what? It looked like they took last year's mentality and was the new Browns, the Raiders was. Where it was like, we ain't got Devontae, we ain't got Max, but you know what? It don't matter. The next man up, and we're going to go out there, we're going to find a way to win this game. Whether that's run the ball, pass the ball, whatever it is, we're going to do. And I felt like the Browns just didn't match that. And I was like, it looks like 2 years ago. And I kept saying it looked like the Falcons game 2 years ago. Yeah. Like, dudes getting blown off the ball, dudes ain't coming up hitting, guys missing tackles. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, I thought with Jim Schwartz and y'all running it back, like, y'all should be head and shoulders above anybody, because y'all got the chemistry. It's the same playbook. Y'all ain't really switching up nothing. Guys are healthy. So it should look head and shoulders better than it did last year, because a lot of the production came with 2s and 3s in there. Sure. So now if you got straight 1s in there that's healthy, I know Miles is banged up, but that's healthy, like, it should still look better than what it's looking. And when I watched that game last week, I didn't see it.
So how do you explain it? Is there an answer for it?
What
do you think's going on?
I mean, for one, I'm not them, so I don't necessarily never know what's going on or how they're feeling body-wise. But it doesn't look like they're as engaged as they were last year. Like, I don't know why they think to me, it's like, it's going to happen eventually. That's how they play. Like, all right, we're not there. It's going to get there eventually. Don't worry. We're going to fix this eventually. But I don't see urgency. Like, I don't see passion. And y'all going to laugh at me at this. This is a bold and hot take. But it's about one player, two, because it's Jordan Hicks out, but it's one player that's missing on that defense that actually is a big trash talker and a big talker.
Who, Juan Thornhill?
Juan Thornhill. Like, so I didn't go to practice this past season, but I went to the OTAs last year, and I told y'all when I was there, the biggest trash talker was Juan Thornhill. You think about when they got into the scuffle with San Francisco.
Right.
Who was front line? Juan Thornhill. Yeah. So it's crazy. I'm not saying that Juan Thornhill's – people don't like Thornhill and people don't say he's this great player. And I'm not saying he's been as productive as we thought he would be. But it is something about having that guy on the field that's fearless like that, because he make you be like, oh, he talking to them like that? All right, that's my boy. I ain't going to let him be by himself. Yeah. So, boom, I'm with him. And now that he's not there, I don't necessarily know. I know Gnu is the energizer and his the dances and all of those things, but like when it comes to that dog mentality that can make other people feel like they a dog with them, I don't see that right now.
Like there needs to be. I'll kind of give you kind of an example. You know, Tyvis played at Ohio State. I played at OU. And the difference is Ohio State has a tradition of, it's a way bigger school, has a tradition of leaning on, when you come to Ohio State, this is what it is. And it's generation to generation. You come to Ohio State, we going to have defensive backs. We going to play a certain style of football. We got a brand. And it don't matter, the names on the back change, even the coaches change. But Ohio State is an institution, so when things get tough, you can always lean on the fact that, like, nah, we ain't going back to this. But when you playing for a team that has traditionally been bad and maybe have a couple spotty years here or there. Now, shout out to OU. They got a new coach in there, Frank Solich, and they turned the program around. Now they're the winningest program in the MAC since 2006. So, like, they turned that whole thing around. But I remember being there and sitting in these rooms, and I would remember coaches doing things like saying, okay, you guys got to have your socks a certain height and T-shirts a certain way. And I'm like, bro, your game plan is trash. Your game plan is horrible. Like, because you spend so much time in those film rooms, and when you come from certain other programs, they teach you to be playmakers. They teach you to be looking at the whole scheme, know what everybody does, right? Understand that. So I'm sitting in these rooms and I'm looking around like, we can't do nothing with this. This game plan is trash. This is not going to work. And when you lose and you keep losing, the thing that you could always tell is when a coach stands up and says something, you know if a player paying attention or not. Mm-hmm. And you know if they feel like, I don't believe you. Some coaches get up there and they say it, and whatever the game plan come out, they believe it. Yeah. They invested in it. They're going to make sure everybody in that playbook, they're going to make sure everybody dialed in, and they are going to disseminate the game plan and the temperature and the culture to the rest of the people. What I see is there isn't nobody taking, who's the enforcer for Kevin Stefanski? Who is Stefanski saying, guys, we need to do this? And then they give it to so-and-so down here. And then you know what it is. Yeah. It's a leadership league. The Legion of Boom ran the whole situation. Yeah, they did. The whole thing. They can either cause a mutiny and go rogue, or they could put everybody else in check. Yeah. And right now, when I'm looking out there, I don't see nobody that's sitting here telling me, hey, we ain't about to let this happen. You know what we running this week, and if you out of position, X, Y, and Z gonna happen. You ain't got to deal with coach. You gonna deal with me. I just don't see that right now.
It's the same thing in the NFL. You referenced Ohio State and Ohio. When the Mike Tomlin and Harbaugh in Pittsburgh and Baltimore respectively, anything they say, the players are going to believe it. There may be some outliers, but like they've developed that culture over a long period of time. Yeah. And those have been successful franchises for most of it, if nothing else, the last 20 years, right? Whereas with the Bengals and the Browns, even the fans, right? When it starts to go bad,
yep.
You go, if you're a Bengals fan or you're a Browns fan, you revert back to that. Here we go again. Mm-hmm. Steelers fans and Ravens fans don't do that.
No.
Because they're expecting it to go right.
Yeah.
They even, they get on Mike Tomlin because they've been kind of mediocre and they make the playoffs and don't win. But there's a certain level, like that you don't ever, no Steeler fan thinks the Steelers are going to be a 4-win team ever. That never crosses their mind.
It's not in the realm of possibility.
No, right? But as a Browns fan specifically, Bengals too, but specifically to the Browns, like, that's not too far off the radar. You're always worried, are we going back to that?
Yeah.
Because they've been, even when they've had losing records with Stefanski, they've no longer been a garbage team.
Yeah.
The whole time he's been
What was his
here.
worst one, 7-10?
I think so. Yeah, I think 7-10 is his worst record. So they've at least been in the middle. Mm-hmm. They haven't been in the dreck where they were for so many years before Kevin Stefanski. And, before the season, everybody was very confident that the Browns defense would be, or most people were very confident that the Browns defense would be great again next year. And the reason I didn't pick the Browns to make the playoffs, part of that was my concern about Deshaun Watson heading into the season. But another part of it is, and even though quarterbacking is down, when you're a team that is led by your quarterback, like the Chiefs, and I know Patrick Mahomes is in a class by himself, but like when the Chiefs always have Patrick Mahomes, even if he's not having a good game, even if he's not having as great a season as you would expect. You still trust him every time in the big spot.
Yeah.
When you rely on your defense to lead the team, with quarterback, you're relying on one guy, essentially. Yes, he needs help around him, but as long as that guy's great, you feel like you always got a shot. With defense, you're relying on 11 guys. Maybe not 11, but certainly 6 or 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And so if 2 or 3 of those guys, for whatever reason, are not the same guy they were the year before, maybe they're distracted by something in their personal life. Maybe they've got a nagging injury. Maybe they're distracted by their contract. Maybe they just, last year they had to prove themselves and this year they don't. Whatever it may be, that could sink a defense. And even like the Browns defense isn't terrible right now.
No, it's not.
But last year they went to the playoffs. We always talk about they made it with 4 quarterbacks. They made it because the defense was great.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's not like they're giving up a ton of points. It's just
it's the eye test.
Yeah, it's like when you talk about Baltimore and you talk about Pittsburgh, like it's a physicality thing. In this conference, the more physical team is always the one that's gonna win. And right now I just don't see it. Like to see Alexander Madison, who's a decent back, but he's
just the guy.
The way he was running that ball and was getting yards, like they talk about angry runs, like that's what he did. And I was shocked that nobody came and was like, boom, blasting back. Like he literally was like, I'm running this ball, I'm getting this first down, and it ain't a dang thing you gonna do to stop it.
Right.
And they just like, yeah, you got it. And it took, and at that time where I text this in the chat, I was like, up until this point, the defense ain't did nothing on this entire season. They haven't done anything.
No.
And up until and then boom, as soon as I say that, they forced the fumble. And then boom, you see all this energy. But it's like, that's what I've been trying to tell y'all. Like, that's the missing piece. Like, y'all got to get a takeaway to energize everybody.
If you don't on defense, this is a prerequisite for playing defense. You have to have a nasty disposition. You gotta actually be a guy that is an attacker, a guy that's enthusiasm. You cannot play defense without enthusiasm and energy. You just can't. Like, offenses can come out and that look like they don't got energy because they know where the play's going. They know what the snap count and the play is. You don't. You gotta play at a speed and a breakneck pace. And a lot of it, Tyvis, I'm seeing too. I'm not seeing guys playing like I'm the only one that can make that tackle. And when you'll see it because when you play that way, it creates game tackling. I'm not waiting for Tyvis to make the play, right? This is why for me, this is so nerve-wracking, and sometimes I get really angry about this, is we put all of the pressure on the big name guys. But you gotta understand, Myles Garrett is getting 2-3 sacks, and he's out there hobbled. You know what the worst part about that is? That means if he getting doubled and he's getting home and he's hobbled, what are you doing getting single block, doing nothing the whole game? And sometimes it happens when you play with really good players, and sometimes you start looking at them and you start being a spectator of the really good players instead of being like, well, hold on. I got to hold up my end of the bargain. I know Myles is doing my thing. At one point in time, Zadarius Smith was a game wrecker himself in this league.
Yeah. And they got veteran defensive linemen. There's no excuse.
You got to get home.
Yeah.
It ain't no wait on Myles type stuff. And I'm just saying it's a lot of people waiting on other people to figure it out. Then they can jump on the bandwagon. No, you can figure it out by you making a play.
Think about it. You mentioned Myles Garrett is dealing with 3 different injuries. He's getting double teamed, and yet he leads the team in sacks. If I'm another player on this team, I got to be embarrassed by that.
Yes.
Who forced that fumble? Do we know?
Isaiah McGuire.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
The draft, what was he, 6th round, 5th round pick last year?
5th round draft pick, yeah, he forced the fumble.
Quentin Jefferson.
That's a shame. He don't even be out there like that. He better be out there now.
Quentin Jefferson hasn't. Alex Wright has had a lot of dumb penalties. Yep. Greg Newsome in the secondary has not tackled.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not like, but we're not going to speed past this. So you mean to tell me this man got Zadarius, Alex, double O in front of him, And he came, so he's essentially the fifth DN.
Yeah, 5th or 6th.
And he came in and created the play to spark it. Boy.
Ty, real quick, before we move on from that, you think he gets more snaps on Sunday
He
against
better.
the Commanders because of that play?
He better. Why would you not?
So,
What has the other people done that that shows that he shouldn't get snaps?
It's funny, too, because whenever there's a fumble, they always, on the broadcast, highlight the player that recovers the fumble instead of the player who caused the fumble. Which is just, like, we didn't even know for sure who caused the fumble.
Yeah.
But you knew who picked it up.
Yeah.
Like, the guy who caused the fumble, he did the hard part. The other guy just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
What they did.
G, hold on one sec. The snap count against the Raiders, I just looked this up. McGuire played 14 snaps. Alex Wright played 20 snaps. Ogbo, 20 snaps. Jefferson, 22 snaps. Za'Darius, 30 snaps. Miles, 44. Those are your defensive snaps. So 14, 20, 20, 20, 22,
Miles played
30, and 44.
snaps.
Guy's got 3 injuries.
So what do you
Double
expect?
team.
Ty, what do you expect from McGuire? If he got 14 last week, what do you think this week?
He should at least be 20. I don't see how you couldn't.
And if he plays well, you know what he's going to do. Show me the money!
Well, he's got like 2 years before you can do that.
That was the Jerry Maguire reference. Come on now.
Yeah, you're right.
got
I
2 years.
always would. I think that's the only way you can hurt people in the NFL when guys are making that amount of money, and you really, you'll be gone before they will. The only way you can really affect the way they playing is playing time. If you get 5 snaps and you used to getting 30. That hurts your soul. You're like, this is what it looked like when you over here on the bench looking at the field.
Where was the 2 rookies? What positions was there for the Raiders?
Guard.
Yeah. So you was getting locked
So
up.
you mean to tell me 2 veterans,
2 veterans was getting locked up
2 rookies?
and gave up 159 yards on the ground. That is called you got manhandled. Like 159 with 2 rookies. You supposed to be eating up front.
Was they tell me they was in the first round at least?